committee meeting. And to start, we'll have the monthly permit report with Tammy Palmquist. Starting off the urban experience meeting right after the holiday.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon already. So we'll go ahead and get started with some of the June trends. Some of our numbers are a little bit lower in June, but I'll explain it as this proposal goes through. So June applications were up over last year. Not as much in residential, but like I said, I'll get to that. The solar applications have dipped just a little bit, but we did launch our Solar App Plus review system in June. And so of the applications that came in, just about half of them used that instant review option of using the Solar App Plus for residential reviews. So that was a great start to see half of those already going to that new program. So they go through the Solar App process and get an automatic approval if they meet all the criteria. So that speeds things up. It was our second highest year-to-date total for construction permits issued. It's a 19% increase over last year. June's residential remodels and additions were up 25% as well. So like I said, it's the lowest June for new residential units. Only 6 went out the door, but that is because some of them are in that holding pattern of the plan review has been approved, but they just haven't paid their permit fees and pulled their permits yet. So we have 2,342 housing units in review right now. So that is a big number. They'll be coming, those will come out the rest of this year. Second highest year-to-date job values, only behind 2021. 92 residential units were added the first week of July. So from June into July, another 92 went out. Let's see. So like I said, solar permit process improvements, we were able to get a first full month of Solar App Plus. This also integrates the fire department and the DSC, so making it easier for our customers. We hosted a joint training session for building departments across the region. So we had it out at Marabou, and we offered this training session for all of the other building departments and inspections. So people from the Valley, Liberty Lake, Cheney, the county, all got to participate and get training on the new building codes and energy codes. The DSC paid for that training. They were able to get their continuing ed credits as well. Permit and licensing software. So we're starting to do all of our data cleanup and getting that ready to implement going into the new permitting system later in August. Fee study, you guys had an introduction at the study session. You were not there. If you would like to sit down with Steve and I, we're happy to do that and go over anything. The PowerPoint was attached though, so just know that offer's there. We are continuing to work on the fee study, and we're going to get kind of that draft report back, take a look at it, see where our numbers are falling, what needs to be brought up to current kind of cost of recovery. The other thing we want to do is go in there and streamline some of our fees. So I'm just going to take as an example boilers. We have a fee for the boiler at this many BTUs and this many BTUs. Well, it takes our inspectors the same amount of time regardless of the size. So we're going to consolidate that just to one fee, because it's the same amount of time regardless of the size. So we're going to go through and do some cleanup like that, so it'll be simpler for our customers. So total permit applications, we are up So 4% increase over the prior 4-year for the year to date through the current month. And then for the current month, we're up 6%. So still permits coming in, which is good. Total construction permits issued in June. Again, we're still up 15% over the 4-year average, 7% over the month. Commercial applications are up 46% over last year. So again, they're still coming in. Multifamily housing units. This is where in the month of June, we didn't get any out the door, but they're in review. Some of those went out the first month of July. There are more than 30 multifamily projects in review, more than 2,000 new dwelling units. There's 6 multifamily projects with 519 units that are currently approved, but waiting for payment to be made and the permits to be issued. So those are just sitting there waiting on the developer or the owner to either get their funding in line or, pull those permits. Haifumi Inn was issued last week, and that was 88 units. So that was an exciting one to get out the door. Single-family residence permitted, again, we're down for the month of June, but then some of those came out the first week of July. We have 128 single families in review. 26 of these are approved and just waiting for the owner and contractor to pull the permits. So this slide talks about the difference between public and private job values. So the blue is private construction values and the green is public. So our private values are very high, our public not so much. But that's a good sign of private investment in the city. Total residential units permitted. So we're down over the average, but like I said, a lot of this is because it's in the queue. It's being reviewed or they haven't pulled their permits. Housing in the pipeline. So as you can see, there's that 2,300 that's in review. We've got about 2,051 that are future projects that have come in through either MFTE or the pre-dev process. Again, 546 of these are approved, just waiting for the permits to be pulled. Peyton Building, which has 96 units, is getting real close to being issued as well. So that's a good one, conversion for downtown. We're not sure of their start time. It may be later in the year, but at least the permit will be ready shortly. Permit activity by council district, so highest in District 1, but still going strong. District 3 had 10 additional BOH units. ADUs in District 2 and 3 were good. Residential units in 2 and 3 were pretty high. Some of the largest projects. So for the month of June, the largest project is number 4, the Ag West Farm Credit Headquarters at 9.5. So that is the recent addition to that list. And then largest projects in plan review. So lots of residential units. And then the Frequency Apartments, so that's Radio Park up by on the KXLY site by the South Hill Soccer Complex. They are hoping to pull their permits before the 17th. So was in email correspondence with them today to get them all their final numbers. So that should be going out. The cause has been approved for their foundation permit, and phase 2 is just waiting to be issued. And between the two of those projects, that's 363 new units. Any questions? All right.
Looks like you're
Thank
off the
you.
hook today. Thank you for all that great information. All right, next on our agenda, we got a couple items from Eldon Brown that you can probably just do them all at the same time.
Good afternoon. The map we're kind of looking at up there is all related to the PROS project. That's a 450 unit project that they're trying to get lined up to build. And what you can kind of see on the street vacation that says Evergreen, which is north of 14th up there, they're in here trying to actually release easements that we originally had on all of those 4 colored right-of-ways when we vacated those back in. The ones north of 14th Avenue were vacated, I think, in 1981 in June, and the ones south of 14th were vacated in 1973. And PROS is in there trying to actually amend any of these vacations where we retained easements originally that you couldn't build on without doing something with them. And most of them are related to today to Lumen and Comcast. So right now, the green one on C Street, the red one there on 15th Avenue, those are 2 of them in there where we do have easements retained for basically Lumen and Comcast today. And they would require, before we can release those easements, that we not issue any building permits until those items that they have in there are actually relocated. They're okay if somebody goes out and grades over the top of those right-of-ways until we can actually release the easements. But they do not want them actually fully released until we prior to the building permits, or they want the actual facilities relocated prior to issuing building permits on those sites. But they're okay with actually grading over the top of them today. And that's what we're asking for on the C Street and 15th Avenue, is we're just putting it forward here to actually release those easements just as soon as they actually got them relocated on the facilities. Then on Evergreen, which is north of 14th, up there, that one's totally ready to be released. We don't have anything in that one that would actually prohibit us from releasing that, the easements from that original vacation. So anyway, that's what those vacation items are about. We're just amending ordinances to release easements as we can. So be happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
All right. That was quicker than all the items. Next, we'll have Megan Duvall come up with a couple items too. Looks like you just have 2 for us.
Yes.
No, all right.
Good afternoon. I thought it had been a while since I've been in person. I work remotely on Mondays usually, and I was like, you know what, it's time to come and see you guys in person. So I'm Megan Duvall. I'm the Historic Preservation Officer. Haven't met a couple of you yet, but I hope to soon. So I'll go through my slides here real quick, and then I'll get into the 2 properties that we're talking about. So Spokane Register of Historic Places is basically our local program. It's voluntary. The consent of the owner is required for listing. We protect resources through a management agreement, and that's where you come in. It's the contract between the city and the owner, saying that we can review changes to the exterior mostly when a building permit is sought for that property. And this is also how we offer incentives to our properties. So in order to be eligible, a couple of different things. Generally, you have to be 50 years or older. We can slide on that a little bit. And it has to meet criteria that's within our ordinance. And so these can be buildings, sites, district structures, or objects. And here's the categories. So category A is associated with broad patterns of Spokane's history. Category B is an association with a significant person. Category C is probably our most used category, which is architecture, design, construction. Category D is more like prehistory or archaeology. And then category E is cultural heritage, and that's our newest category that we added in 2018. We have just a couple of nominations under that. Okay, so put on my glasses. So this first one, the Mac Hayfield Kane House, Garage, and Garden, is actually an update to an existing nomination, and we don't really do this very often, but the property owner asked us to, so I'll kind of explain this as we go through the slides. So this is an update to an existing property already listed on the Spokane Register of Historic Places, the Mac Kane House and Garage, located at 734 East 23rd, which was listed under Category C. So the current property owner, Jim Price, was interested in protecting the designed garden that is on the west side of the property. It was mentioned in the original nomination, but not extensively. So probably not enough for us to actually include that as part of a protected part of the management agreement. So we talked with our city attorney to make sure that this process that you see would make sense and be the right way to update a nomination, especially when the intent is to protect additional parts of the property. So we're just changing the management agreement to say that no building can be constructed on the garden itself. Right now it said, the existing one said that no building could be built without the Landmarks Commission approving the design, and he wanted to strengthen that a little bit more. He actually is a subsequent property owner to the one who listed the property on the register. So a garden consisting of a variety of perennial plants, lawns, ornamental or flowering shrubs, trees, pathways, and a reflecting pond still exists to the west of the house on a vacant lot that was purchased by the Hayfields in 1918. This landscape garden has remained as an undeveloped parcel since its inception. A landscape architect drew the garden plan in 2011 with several of the trees and other plants shown alongside the meandering path and pond location. Frederick Hayfield and his wife Elizabeth Marie bought the house from the Mack family in 1914 for $6,000. After they settled in their new home, the Hayfields built a garage for $200, and in 1918 they purchased the adjacent lot to the west of the property for $425. They landscaped the grounds with trees, shrubs, flowers, the reflecting pool, and a basalt rock wall that encircles 3 sides of the property. The Hayfields owned the house until 1941. It's unknown if the Hayfield garden was professionally designed, but the winding path, small pond with bench, and planting arrangements suggest that it has remained much as it was when it was first developed. The mid-block green space has become a neighborhood oasis used as a place of quiet contemplation by its owners and neighbors alike. The Spokane Historic Landmarks Commission unanimously voted at their June 20th meeting that the updated Mack Hayfield Cane House Garden, Garage and Garden continues to be eligible for listing on the Spokane Register under Category C, and they recommend that City Council approves the updated management agreement that further protects the Hayfield Garden. That is a mouthful to say all those things. That's the house. Okay, so moving on to the second. The Mulligan Brazo House and Garage at 511 West 13th Avenue in the Cliff Park neighborhood was built in 1911. The house is significant under Category C as a fine example of a 1.5-story residence with strong stylistic influence from the Craftsman and Tudor Revival styles. The property faces north toward Cliff Park and is covered by a prominent low-pitched gable front roof with widely unenclosed overhanging eaves, exposed rafter tails, and deep barge boards with triangular knee brace brackets. The gable front roof extends over the first floor to provide a full-width covered front porch supported by thick wood porch piers and a solid porch wall. The second floor sleeping porch is immediately above the front porch and is connected to the primary bedroom. A single-story, single-car garage was built in 1920 in the rear southeast corner of the property behind the house. Garage doors are original they're really crazy. So those 3 panels actually are on a pulley system, and they move around. They don't go up and down. They just move to the side. There's a pulley up above. So really interesting. I've never seen another one in Spokane. So you basically close and open the garage by following a track along the ceiling. The interior of the house is large and spacious with a solid oak floor, original woodwork, original multi-paned double-hung casement windows, a second floor with 3 bedrooms and a sleeping porch, and an unfinished basement. Patrick Barrington, a Spokane builder, constructed the property for William G. and Margaret Mulligan, the first owners of the Mulligan Brazo house, although it was never lived in by the Mulligans. William Mulligan was employed at different times in Spokane as a contractor for the Northern Pacific Railroad, a proprietor of the National Feed and Mill Company, and a president of the Citizens Investment Company. At the time of the purchase by the Mulligans, the lot was vacant, And it appears that the Mulligans may have hired contractor Barrington to build the house at 511 West 13th, which was completed in January, February of 1911. Although they built the Mulligan-Brazeau house and another close-by house, they never lived in either property but used them as investment properties, so even in 1911. The house was used as a rental for many years, including the short and tragic time that the Dalzell family lived there. I have to just throw in a little historic, interesting story. Very first thing I pulled up with the address was this tragic story. So John Dalzell and his family, his wife, son, and daughter moved from St. Paul, Minnesota into the house in February of 1911, just right after it was finished. So it was a brand new house. It appears that both of the adult Dalzells were getting ready for bed in the second floor bathroom when a badly installed gas heater in the room caused a leak in the gas heater. And it basically leaked into that bathroom and it overcame both parents. The wife was in the bathtub, and the husband had probably already taken his bath, and he was in his bedclothes. And it looks like he had gone in, and she had probably become overcome with the gas. And so he was trying to help her, and as he was doing that, he also became overcome with the gas. They were both found dead, tragically, in that bathroom. Their little 5-year-old daughter was at the house at the time. Her bedroom was just right outside the bathroom door. She had come in to get a drink of water at some point in the evening, saw both of her parents sleeping in the bathroom and decided not to disturb them. Somehow she was not harmed. The little boy, who was all of 10, had been sent back to St. Paul by train because they worked for the railroad. Very normal thing for spring break. So he was coming back that morning where they were found, and as you would, he got off at the Northern Pacific Depot, hopped on a streetcar line up to the house, couldn't get in the house, finally broke in a basement window, saw his little sister, and called the alarm, basically, for his parents, who were both deceased. So it was really sad. They'd only been there for about a month when that happened. So they were both orphans, as you can imagine. Both kids received settlement money for the company responsible and returned to family in St. Paul. The house continued as a rental until well-known Spokane banker William A. Brazeau purchased the property in 1920 and built a one-story private garage for $200 to match the craftsman style of the Mulligan-Brazeau house. Brazeau later worked for the paper mill in Millwood and became that city's first mayor. The Brazeau family only lived in the house for a short time while they were building a house in Otis Orchards near the Millwood plant. A fine example of the craftsman style with Tudor Revival detailing, the Mulligan-Brazeau house is nominated under Category C as a property that embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction. And the Spokane Historic Landmarks Commission unanimously voted that the house and garage meet the criteria for listing on the Spokane Register of Historic Places at their meeting on June 20th. Thank you for indulging me.
Great. Any questions for Megan?
Great, thanks so
All
much.
right. Thanks for
Glad to
making
see
your way
you in
down.
person.
Thanks for coming down in person today.
Absolutely, no problem.
All right, next up, we have Kevin Freibach with a couple items, too. Looks like you're going to do the West Quadrant TIF annual report first and then move into a request for those TIF funds.
Because I can't tell you about money until I ask for some, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Well, you can.
Or-
Well, I can't. I probably should, right? It's all right. Jacoby's going to get this set up here. So, just as a preface, you know, it's been a few years since we've done a comprehensive report on the West Quadrant TIF. We do financial reporting every year, but I thought it might be handy to kind of go more in depth this year. So I want to apologize for the extreme length of the report. It's a bit of a read, but it does have quite a lot of good information. I'm going to hit the barest essentials of it here today, just so that we have enough time for questions. Just as a reminder, this is a tax increment financing district that covers parts of West Central, a little bit of Riverside, and a little bit of Emerson Garfield. There's a new map there in the report. And the area itself is split into two. There is the Kendall Yard sub-area that you see here in green. The revenues generated in that area stay in that area. And then there's the larger neighborhoods area, which is in blue. And again, the revenues in that area stay in that area. However, the neighborhoods revenues are split between the city and the county. So there is a county component to this that I can't tell you much about because we don't manage that. But as a note, the only portion of Emerson Garfield that's really within the TIF is that North Monroe corridor that you can kind of see going to the north. It's a bit of a weird map because I don't have enough paper for something that shape. TIFs themselves have various funding sources. This one is a community revitalization fund, and under CRF, there are only certain things we can fund. Those are generally public improvements that are owned by the government, except for one exception, which I'll get to. But we're talking about things like streets, roads, sidewalks, frontage improvements, utility connections, which is one of those things that can really make or break a project, is the cost of utilities. TIFs can help with that. And then recently, permanently affordable housing was added to the list. That doesn't have to be owned by the city. That is just has to qualify as permanently affordable. So it's 60% AMI permanently for, depending on whether it's rental or sale, it's 35 years or longer. So the TIF itself can't build buildings necessarily, except for permanent affordable housing, but it can do the utilities, the frontages, the things that serve those projects and make them easier to develop. Also, TIFs aren't generated from the whole tax. They aren't a percentage of the whole tax. They are generated from the increment. The increment is how much the property values have increased since the TIF was enacted. So this one was put into place quite a long time ago. Those amounts of the values have gone up, have increased to the point where the TIF generates a significant amount of funds every year. So just know that most of the taxes that are property taxes generated in the TIF district go to the same place those taxes would go even if the TIF didn't exist. It's a small percentage of the tax that generates the revenue, and I'll show that here in just a second. But I did include a kind of a sample project. If you assume that there was a building that was worth $100,000 at the beginning of the TIF, it's currently $120,000. That $20,000 increase is where the funding comes from. Over time, the TIF, the two parts of this TIF have increased in value quite a lot. Actually, you can see there in 2007, Kendall Yards really was empty property. It did not have a lot of taxable value. It has since grown to over $175 million in taxable value. The neighborhoods area has grown even more. While the curve was relatively flat at the beginning, partially in thanks to 2008's economic fund, partially to the fact that TIFs don't make much money in the beginning because they are about increases. But over time, you can see, especially as of 2016, the property values have increased precipitously, which is why the TIF now generates a significant amount of funds every year. So, for example, the neighborhood area started at about $200 million. It's now almost $600 million in value. That means it's grown by $400 million in property values. That's not an insignificant amount. Also, it's important to remember that not all taxes provide funding to the TIF, only certain ones, those being the county general, the two city generals, the conservation futures levy, and the city EMS levy. All the others, the state schools, the bond repayments, the school districts, they don't provide anything to the TIF. So they're still getting their full measure whether the TIF existed or not. And actually, they're getting more than they would because the end result of a TIF is economic development. It helps to increase values in the area. So in 2024, $3-ish per $1,000 would feed the TIF, but there's still $650 per $1,000 that doesn't even affect the TIF at all. The levy rates have changed over time. I included this in the report because it is kind of interesting to see that, in 2008, the first taxable year, it was about the overall levy rate for the TIF was $4.14 per thousand, and it's down to $3.18. A lot of this decline you see since 2014 is attributable to the fact that property values have increased. Property values go up very fast. There's a 1% cap on the levy or on the tax. So the levy rate has to go down to keep us under that cap. This is all managed by county assessor. This is not something the city necessarily has any control over. But it is an important feature of the funding. And then I also, just to give you a better example of how the TIF the revenues come out, if you assume in an area that we collected $1,000 in property tax in the neighborhoods area, $959 of that goes to the normal tax distribution. Only a little more than $28 will go to the neighborhood improvements. A little more than $12 goes to the county. So it is split up. It is a minor percentage of the overall taxes generated, but it still has a major effect. Our revenues over time, of course, as the property values have increased, the revenues have increased. The estimated distribution for this year is about $657,000. So we are above $500,000 a year, and that's expected to continue to grow, short of something like 2008 or a major pandemic that affects this curve. And this is just based on historic growth. By 2032, we expect to be receiving more than $2 million for neighborhood projects. This is a little more detailed on this year's projected revenue. The TIF overall is expected to generate $1.3 million. About $400,000 of that is to go for Kendall Yards improvements. And then, that's $657,000 for neighborhood, and the county should get about $280,000. This number changes, by the way, because it has to do with how many people have paid their taxes and whether they have any back bills or anything like that. The number does shift slightly, so please note that if you see this next year, it might be a little different. Finally, the account itself, the neighborhood funds are put into an account that the city manages. That account at the beginning of the year, actually as of the beginning of this month, was about $2 million. Although there is $948,000 that has already been earmarked by the council for other projects, for TIF projects, that hasn't been paid yet. And then the next item I have for you is a $190,000 request for another encumbrance. So even if you were to approve the one I'm going to talk about next, and with all the ones that have been approved in the past, we'll still get $657,000 this year. At the end of the year, we would end up with $1.6 million in the account. Kendall Yards works a little differently. The money generated in Kendall Yards is used to pay off the debt in Kendall Yards for the past improvements. I'm pleased to report, though, that Kendall Yards has done well enough, and it's been long enough since we've had a request, that it's likely that we'll pay off the debt there in a couple years. I do later this year have another set of improvements in Kendall Yards for your consideration. We're working on that now. And that's it for the annual report, so I'm happy to answer questions.
Questions? Is Councilmember Bingle online? I was like, make sure to flag him if he has questions.
Yeah, no, I'll raise my hand.
Okay. All right, looks like nothing on that one. If you want to go on to the next one.
Absolutely. So the next one, and I'll go fairly quickly if I can. This is a request that was received late last year by the Native Project for some TIF funding related to a new facility that they're in the middle of constructing. And I'll kind of go through a little bit here. If you're not familiar with the Native Project, they are a health provider. They're located in West Central. While their theme and their concept is based on Native American, taking care of the Native American population, they serve everybody. This is not a tribe-only process. This is not a Native-only process. They serve everyone who comes through the door. They provide a full range of services, medical, dental. They have a diabetes care unit. They have a tremendous youth and also an adult behavioral health service. And actually what today is about is the youth the youth treatment center that they are in the middle of constructing. It's actually about halfway done. So that's the wrong direction. There we go. So just as a reminder, here's the map, and I always like to put a great big huge star on it to show you where things are. This project is located on Maxwell. It is within the TIF. It's right on the boundary. It's across the street from Cannon Park. This aerial kind of gives you a better idea. We're talking about the northeast corner of Maxwell and Elm. It's immediately west of their existing Native Project facility. You can kind of see it on this aerial. It's got a sawtooth kind of roof shape to it. The project that we're talking about is just to the west across Elm Street. And it used to have a small kind of nondescript warehouse on it, but it has since been demolished under permit. And as I said, they're about halfway through construction. And on one of these days, I'll remember which button to push. There we go. That is an aerial from earlier this year. So you can see they've actually begun their work. Native Project has requested that we help defray some of the costs of the public improvements that serve their project. So that's sidewalks, street trees. They have a couple new driveway cuts, all within the city right-of-way. There are some utility connections that needed to be updated. A warehouse has a much different load than a 4-story treatment facility. They did need to upgrade their utilities. And actually, I've got a bit of a graphic here. Everything except for this gray area along the southern property line, everything that they have asked for repayment for is within city right-of-way. So it will be city property, it's city sidewalks, city streets, city utilities. That southern bit with the gray area, there is a easement along the back of their property that includes a water line that we own, the city owns. There will be some upgrades made to that and some of the power infrastructure in that alignment. Under the TIF, it just has to be owned by the city. That facility is owned by the city. It just happens to be in an easement on private property. So they have asked for help with the costs with that as well. Originally, they did come to the Neighborhood Project Advisory Committee asking for $105,000, but as anyone who's done a construction project knows, there are unforeseen things that do crop up. In this case, the costs for some of the utility work were higher than anticipated. There was some additional excavation required, and so, they came to the Neighborhood Project Advisory Committee again, explained the increases, and asked for an additional amount. NPAC discussed it quite a bit and ultimately voted unanimously to recommend the higher amount. And what they did is they added a small buffer to the amount to make sure that they didn't have to meet again and again if something happened. So this $190,000 request is for you to consider for the TIF, and it's a not-to-exceed amount. It's entirely likely that it will not fully be expended because it does include a contingency. And as I mentioned in the last presentation, we do have quite a bit in the account. We could pay this $190 out of the account right now, and we would still have $1.5 million in the account at the end of the year. So that's it for that one.
Questions for?
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Just wondering about precedents. Have we covered these costs for other nonprofits in the past? How long has it been? I know we've covered vacations and things like that, but specifically these types of investments, have we covered these for other nonprofits?
Well, the entirety of Kendall Yards is these kind of improvements that the developers of Kendall Yards have made that we've paid them back. That's the purpose of the TIF. In this case, the neighborhood projects have not had a lot of nonprofits. The only other one I'm aware of is Habitat that came for the assistance for the purchasing of permanent affordable housing. So it's entirely likely the contracts will be very similar to what, although it's not a program like with Habitat where they could come back and ask for more, it'll be a similar process to that. So we've gotten close.
Okay.
But this would be any other developer who came to the TIF and said, please help with the public improvements, this would be the same process. It just hasn't happened in this area yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Council President.
If you have not been to West Central and to the Native Project, I strongly encourage you to go. They have really been leading with this addition of the youth behavioral health, and it's amazing in that they have funded that. We did a little help ourselves through the ARPA fundings to help get that building up and going. So it is a great investment in West Central. And for $190,000, I know it's not a screaming deal, but in the world of contracting, it's a screaming deal for the city to get those improvements made. So I applaud the neighborhoods for unanimously supporting this request of funding.
Anyone else?
Great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
All right, now we got several items from Casey Downey, and that is all related to the South Logan TOD, is that right? Great.
As we get this presentation up, all 5 ordinances on the agenda are part of the South Logan TOD implementation. So we will be doing one presentation to kind of do an overall of the project. First, wanted to take a step back, just a reminder of what we're looking at with the South Logan TOD project, and that is transit-oriented development. In summary, it's just bringing services, goods, and housing near a high-frequency transit line in South Logan. That's a newly opened city line. So really want to bring people to the area to benefit from and support that transit in the area. In January, on January 29th of this year, the South Logan TOD plan and final environmental impact statement was approved by council. Within that plan, it created a framework for a vision for the South Logan area, and specifically, it included recommendations of how to create that vision. The final environmental impact statement looked at the environmental impact and mitigation of the overall project envisioned within the neighborhood. And this is what implementation is being based off of. So implementation is going to take the form of 2 phases. We are in the first phase right now, and it is code changes to the development code. The second phase is changing the land use and zones within the South Logan area. That has been combined into the 2023-2024 comprehensive plan amendment cycle, so the annual docket. And so you'll be hearing about this later this year. The plan was to get the code in place before we start making changes to the zones within the area. So the first phase is the text amendments to the development code, and we have both area-specific and targeted citywide code proposals. The area-specific one are changes to the Hamilton form-based code and a new planned action ordinance, and this impacts the South Logan sub-area only. The South Logan sub-area is the southern portion of the Logan neighborhood. The northern portion is about Indiana, and then it goes south to the river. Then we also have some proposals that are citywide. Those impact the centers and corridor code, height and height transition, as well as open space standards for our higher intensity residential zones. These are citywide. One, so development throughout the city can benefit from the impacts of these changes, but also to ensure consistency throughout the city. So that's why those are focused on citywide. Before we get into the draft proposals, want to emphasize some of the engagement and outreach that has occurred as part of this process. If we take a step back, the South Logan TOD plan was a 20-month process that included multiple engagement opportunities, including a 3-day planning studio, a community survey, and multiple workshops and presentations. We took that engagement and what we heard, that translated into the initial drafts of the code, and then once we had the drafts, we conducted additional outreach and engagement. That included numerous open houses, some tabling, an information session. We also did a virtual information session and coffee chat pop-ups. We also recently did a presentation for Community Assembly Land Use Committee. We also had our typical newsletters, social media, online web pages, really getting the word out there that yes, this impacts South Logan sub-area, but also has citywide implementation. You know what word I'm trying to say. So we will go over that and go into the text amendments, focusing on the area-specific ones first. So the first is the planned action ordinance. Planned actions allow governments to do an environmental review of a specific geographic area during the planning stage. Basically, we want to do the environmental review up front instead of doing it on a project-by-project basis. This allows for a more streamlined process for projects that meet the planned action ordinance. It can reduce costs since you don't have to submit the checklists and do the work to create those checklists, and you also get a quicker review period. So the planned action ordinance is proposed to be based off the final environmental impact statement and does include criteria and thresholds. Some specific exceptions to being able to apply for the planned action ordinance is anything within the shoreline still needs to do shoreline permitting, and drive-throughs are exempted, as the intent of the planned action ordinance is to support the desired development in the area, and what we heard from the community in this area was that drive-throughs weren't a desired development, so they are exempted from the planned action ordinance. Second, area-specific is the Hamilton form-based code. Form-based codes focus on the built environment and how the buildings interact with the street. The Hamilton form-based code currently exists. It was adopted around 2015 and served as a pilot form-based code. It is currently the only form-based code within the city. As pilots tend to have, we found that there are areas that could be improved through this engagement. So we are focusing on simplifying the Hamilton form-based code to support the intent of that code, but making it a bit easier to use to actually get the intended outcome of that code. First and foremost is just reducing the number of zones within the form-based code. Currently there are 4. It is a relatively small portion of the city to have 4 different zones. So we are consolidating into one context area zone in order to again, simplify that area. We're also going from 4 street types to a shopfront designation, highlighting those key intersections to be able to essentially add some development bonuses to certain intersections in order to activate them a little bit more. Other changes, again, really just focusing on streamlining, simplifying, reorganizing, making sure the code looks like other sections of our code so it's easier to use. We're maintaining no drive-throughs within the Hamilton form-based code area. We are removing minimum parking within the area, increasing heights, and working on maximum setbacks with public plaza exceptions to try and incentivize public space and, again, activate those street areas. Now on to the targeted citywide text amendments. First, we will go over the height proposals. The South Logan TOD plan calls for changing some increased heights within the South Logan area specifically. That includes allowing up to a 75-foot height limit in certain residential zones. However, currently our code does not allow for 75 feet. It only allows for 70 feet. So we are making a line change to just allow 75 feet, bumping that up 5 feet. That fits better with a lot of how buildings are built. Anyways, you get that extra floor by going up to 75 feet. During the engagement, we also heard that RMF and RHD are higher intensity residential zones, but currently their base height is the same as our lower intensity residential zones. That's 40 feet. However, in RMF, RHD, we anticipate bigger buildings. And so we are proposing to adjust the base height allowed in these zones. So in RMF going from 40 feet to 55 feet, and in RHD going from 40 feet to 75 feet. We are also making some adjustments to heights allowed in the center and corridor zones. So in neighborhood centers going from 40 to 55 feet, district center and corridor going from 55 and 40 to 75 and 55 feet, and an employment center just changing that 70 to 75 feet. So just incrementally changing some of those height allowances. If we are allowing for increased heights, we want to make sure that we can actually build to them. So we are also proposing changes to the height transitions. Height transitions apply when the property is adjacent to R1 and R2 or lower intensity residential zones. Currently, the height transition is 1 to 2, meaning you get 1 additional foot of height for every 2 feet you're away from the property line. We're switching that. The proposal is go to 2 to 1, so you get 2 additional feet in height for every 1 foot you are away from the property line. That results in a 60-degree angle. Again, allowing for a transition still, but just allowing us to get to the permitted heights a little bit sooner. We are also making some changes to the center and corridor proposals. During the building opportunity and choices for all interim ordinance, there was a portion related to centers and corridors. We have been extending that ordinance as we've been working on center and corridor regulations. It did recently expire, so we're working on getting these regulations in place. Additionally again, if it's a pilot, you expect to make some changes. So based off of feedback that we heard during the interim ordinance, some of the work we did during the South Logan TOD plan, as well as recommendations from the ongoing center and corridor study, we're making some tweaks to what the interim ordinance currently allows. First, that includes adjusting floor area ratio regulations, or FAR. We are essentially moving away from FAR. It's a calculation that can get confusing, and we've identified that there are other ways to regulate building size. We already have setbacks, building coverage, height. FAR is an additional regulation that we haven't really seen that we need to maintain. So the proposal is to remove the maximum FAR, allowing buildings to build higher instead of restricting them by FAR. You're restricted by height. We are proposing to implement minimum FARs in the district center and employment center, that is 0.5 and 1. The graphics are a very elementary example of what that means. So for an FAR of 1, if you're doing a single-story building, you're covering the entire lot. If you're doing a 2-story building, you only have to cover 50% of the lot. So just illustrating that a little bit. Since we're moving away from maximum FAR, we currently have a FAR bonus. We don't need that anymore. We already can exceed FAR. So we are changing that to be a height bonus. The allowances to get that bonus are the same: public art, affordable housing, appropriate parking location. You're just getting a height bump instead of that FAR bump. We are also removing minimum parking within the center and corridor zones. This was called for in the plan and is a recommendation from this center and corridor study. During this work, we also made a line change to remove parking minimums for all of downtown. Currently, most of downtown has a no parking overlay, but there are sections on the outskirts that still have parking. This removes those parking requirements for all of downtown for consistency. Another change within center and corridors related to drive-throughs. The South Logan TOD plan calls for prioritizing the transit-supportive and pedestrian-oriented development by limiting auto-focused development like drive-through businesses. We heard throughout the South Logan TOD plan engagement that the neighborhood does not want drive-throughs within the area. Additionally, preliminary recommendations from the Center and Corridor Study recommends not having drive-throughs be a permitted use in the CC1 zone. So taking that, we are proposing to not allow drive-throughs in CC1. They will still be permitted in CC2 and CC3 unless there's a designated pedestrian street. Next and final is the changes to the higher intensity residential zones. Really, it comes down to open space. I'd like to emphasize that our lower intensity residential zones, R1 and R2, have different standards, different allowances and minimums. We aren't touching those with these regulations. We're focusing purely on the higher intensity residential zones, zones where we typically anticipate garden apartments or townhomes or podium style apartment buildings. First, we're just making some changes to the standards, making it easier to use and implement, reorganizing it, making sure requirements are clear that you can mix and match, but you have to have a minimum allowance if you're doing private open space just to make sure it's usable. Again, making sure we're adding flexibility but clarity within the open space standards. The larger change is the minimum open space requirements. So before we were working on housing development regulations, I'll say 2020, 2021, the column on the left is the housing open space requirements we had, which were 48 square feet in RMF and RHD. During our housing work, we heard that people wanted more open space, so we made some adjustments, and current housing regulations that were put into effect in January increased those for the RMF zone, did not touch them in RHD. Since then, we've heard that we didn't quite get the numbers right, that we are still, essentially we're requiring too much for these type of anticipated housing developments. So we are proposing a middle ground that we are hoping fits both of what we've heard from the community during both engagement activities. So the proposal, first and foremost, is to, instead of having a flat rate of open space, having it be based off the type of the unit. A studio requires less open space than a two-bedroom apartment. The assumption is that there are typically more people in a two-bedroom apartment than a studio, so just right-sizing it that way. We're also adjusting the space that is minimum required in RMF and RHD, starting at 48 square feet and going up. I will note that in RHD, while we are increasing in some instances the open space that is required, we are providing a reduction for any development on an infill lot. So sites 20,000 square feet or less, that's about a half an acre. You don't have to require more than 36 square feet. The idea is, one, we want to encourage infill development, make it easier to build. And if you are an infill development, you're probably near services and amenities, so you don't necessarily need as much space on the site. So again, trying to have that middle ground between the different regulations that we've been proposing. We're also proposing a bonus for any development within 800 feet of a public park. If you are within that walking distance and there's a pathway, sidewalk, and if you're crossing arterial, making sure there's a crosswalk so it's safe to get there, you can go down to 36 square feet. Again, if you're within 800 feet of a park, you are by that amenity. You don't necessarily need that space on the lot where you live. So these recommendations were presented to Plan Commission, and they held a public hearing on June 26 and unanimously recommended approval of this code package. And so our next steps, we're still taking comments from the public, but we are tentatively scheduled for a July 29th public hearing with City Council. With that, I'm open for any questions.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. I guess first, you mentioned intersection bonuses, and could you just clarify kind of what those bonuses are going to look like?
So first, it's the height. So those shop front designations with the Hamilton Form-Based Code get 150 feet in height rather than 75 feet. There's also some build-to allowances, so you can get closer to the street, but the height is that main bonus.
So if and it has to be in a certain distance to the intersection or on the corner of the intersection?
If the shop front designations are on the map, but they're a half block away from the intersections.
Okay. Form-based code, drive-throughs in particular, I shared this with you via email, but, and I understand there's some people who are just anti-drive-throughs, they don't want cars driving through their neighborhoods, whatever it is. But form-based code to me means that you are sort of eliminating that Euclidean zoning and you are allowing things to happen based on the visual. And so to me, it seems like you should allow, or it would make sense if you have trust in the process, that you would allow drive-throughs, but they would have to meet the standard of whatever the form-based code says. And so I just don't quite understand this prohibitive direction. I mean, I know there's been we've done this in the past, but it just seems to me that if we're going to trust form-based code, we should actually trust form-based code and allow those things to take part, as long as, again, they're meeting the code and the aesthetics. And then I'm wondering about 15 feet in a CC, how much of an incentive that actually will be. And I'm wondering if you've talked to developers and they've said, yes, 15 feet will get me to do X, Y, Z differently than before. So just looking for some input there. And then lastly, I do appreciate that you did make some exception on the distance to parks. I think that makes a ton of sense. I would probably expand it slightly to 1/3 of a mile instead of the 2 to 2 1/4, but that's just my thought.
Perfect. So I would, starting with the drive-through discussion within the Hamilton form-based code, currently drive-throughs aren't permitted, so that wasn't a change that we've made within the Hamilton form-based code. We are just maintaining it. For the bump of 15 feet, we didn't get any direct feedback saying yes or no on 15 feet. We were kind of trying to find a way to have an incentive. We are getting rid of maximum FAR and we no longer have parking being required. So height is kind of where we could get. The 15 feet does get us to 95 feet, gets us to 90 feet, which is a recommendation of the center and corridor study. So we were basing that number off of the height that was potentially recommended by that study.
Okay, and then just the last question, just how do we kind of come to the specific heights that we selected? I mean, I think in certain areas, it probably would make sense to even eliminate the height limit altogether in my mind, and then that solves the bonus issue because you can build as tall as you want, and let's try to encourage, building tall. But, so I'm just kind of curious, how did we decide 75, 150, 55? What was the parameters there?
Those are primarily based off of the plan and consultant recommendations that we've gone through. So the South Logan TOD plan calls for 55 feet, 75 feet, and then we have some recommendations for the center and corridor study. So that's where we look to identify what numbers to implement in this code.
But particularly in those areas where we want that urban density, which is the whole point of this process, I guess why put the limit? Why have that limit even exist?
Again, we are just basing it off of the recommendations from the consultants. 150 feet is the tallest in the city. We do have it in a number of portions, including in the South Logan sub-area. We're not quite getting buildings built to that height, so we're not necessarily seeing 150 in those zones being limiting quite yet. So we're, again, just relying off of the consultant information and feedback that we had in the plan.
And I get that. It's more the principle of it.
Other questions or comments from other council members?
I just want to speak up for limiting drive-throughs. I think I lived north of that area for 20 years, and it's a well-used pedestrian corridor and also a high-traffic area. And when you have those two things mixing, drive-throughs could back up the traffic and also create a dangerous situation for pedestrians. If you end up with a high density of drive-throughs in that area, which could happen because it's also near a campus and an area of high convenience, then you can create a deadly situation. So I think that's probably why the neighborhood insisted not having drive-throughs.
Anybody else? Well, thank you for all that information. I know that we've been having presentations for a long time on this, so it's exciting to see it all coming together. All right, the next agenda item is, what are we at? Number 14, which is the Department of Commerce Supplemental Operating Budget with Adam Schooley.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are asking for suspension and approval for the special billing ordinance. This is for a separate agenda item that was approved back on June 10th and related to the Commerce Supplemental Budget, which was approved to the City of Spokane by the Department of Commerce. By allowing this SBO, this will allow us to create additional budget capacity as well as to record the awarded revenues, and as well to meet our contractual obligations for this money. Any questions or concerns?
Any questions? All right, thank you very much. All right, next we'll do the resolution for the sales tax deferral program with Steve McDonald.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the council. Here to talk today about SB 6175, give a little background information on this. And actually what's being accomplished here is a resolution that you guys will be entertaining will allow us to go forward with this program. The way this works is very similar to the parking for people, which was a parking lot tax deferral program, and that used that same tool. So the legislature passes it, you guys do a resolution, in this case also some minor SMC adjustments as well. So first off, so in recognition of the increasing vacancy rate that we have in commercial buildings and office buildings in downtown areas throughout the country, the legislature did pass this 6175 to encourage the conversion of these buildings to residential units. And just to give you an idea, the last I checked, we're at about a 20% vacancy level right now in our downtown Spokane office buildings. And that's probably an underreported number at this point. As leases come due, you're going to have companies coming forward with either not renewing their lease or with less space. So that's going to probably worsen. And this commercial building conversion incentive works very similar, as I mentioned, to the parking to people one. There's a basically a 9% sales tax on all of the construction and labor that takes place to convert these buildings. Would be deferred and eventually waived if the project met the target guidelines. So the issue that we're having now is, while there's similarities between this tax deferral program and the parking one requires 50% of the units be at the workforce level, whereas this one requires 10% be at a lower level of 80%, which is considered low income. That's been problematic in talking with developers, but I think it also doesn't achieve the same good policy goals that the parking to people one does. So we've had discussions and are interested in having that looked at and adjusted. Actually, our first suggestion was to just take the parking to people and add commercial office building conversions to that existing law, and then we'd be set at that 80 to 115% level. But we're going to be working on that in the fall and the winter and see what we can do to adjust the existing one. The last thing I wanted to mention is this is a sales tax deferral, but it also works well in conjunction with an MFTE. So that's a property tax benefit. So a developer can use both these tools together to help offset the cost of providing, lower income units, basically. And with that, I'll open to any questions.
All right, any questions? Councilmember Cathcart?
Yeah, just wondering if you've had a chance to take a look at the letter that we've got on the agenda for next week and to the governor on expedited rulemaking.
I haven't, but I will look at that.
Yeah, if you could take a look, just let me know if you have any specific feedback. It's been sent around to others, but.
Okay, great.
Steve, on that front,
Yeah.
can you give us an update on what the conversations with the Department of Revenue are at right now?
Yeah, so the mayor reached out, a number of us has reached out. Terry Stripes had met with our city attorney and their attorneys to try and get some adjustment in this. The latest that I've heard is that they're having an open public session coming up on July 23rd that we will provide testimony at. But beyond that, they're just going to be coming forward with only interim rules by, they're saying, August or September of this year, and the final rules won't be out until the spring of next year. And that is really a problem for projects that are trying to move forward because, their requirement is that you have to submit to them before they submit to us, basically, with their plans. So it is holding back projects. I think at this time, maybe you could argue that because of interest rates, maybe right now it's not impacting, but I believe it's something that they could do. It seems like they could do this much quicker, considering they already have a very similar program already in play. So.
Great, thanks for that. And I know Senator Billig's also been working on that too. So there's been a lot of conversation about the need for helping move those projects.
Yeah.
Councilmember Cathcart?
Yeah, just real quick. I know there's a couple folks who are hoping to participate in this program and are kind of holding back right now.
Right.
Do you think the interim rules will be enough for some of those folks to start moving forward?
I don't know, depending on how what comes out in the interim rules, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of discussion there is coming up on the 23rd. The unusual thing here is you'd think there'd be cities all over the state wanting to move forward on this, and we're actually one of the few cities that actually have any projects under the parking to people, and I think we're probably going to be in that same boat for the conversion of these buildings. But it sure makes sense for us, and it doesn't really cost us anything, because these are projects that are not likely to go forward without those added incentives, and an underutilized, half-empty office building is not generating a lot of sales tax in the first place. So that's where it kind of makes sense for us to get these going and then have a productive building in place.
Thank you.
Thanks for working on this, Steve. We're very excited to hear that it's moving forward. In the packet, it looks like the resolution was actually inadvertently left out. So if you can just email everyone a copy of it.
Okay.
I'm sure it was some 4th of July mistake.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have a human rights of individuals experience homelessness. And Andres, are you going to brief us on that? Awesome.
Hello, Council. So this isn't your guys' first time hearing or seeing about this. It was originally presented by the SHRC back in October, I believe, and Councilmember Navarrete and I saw that there was potential for it to be an ordinance. So we do a few things in here. We prevent employers from discriminating based on housing status. We add housing status to the list of protected classes along with, race, religion, and whatnot. And then we add a section to Title 1805 that has to do with human rights, specifically protections for homeless folks. That has, it grants them the right to move freely through public spaces, public transportation, all that stuff, pursuant to applicable laws. That's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, this is the first I've seen it, so I just wondering if you guys have had any feedback from legal. I've never heard of housing status being a protected class. Maybe it's happened elsewhere, but
We've had a lot of back and forth with legal with this ordinance. We've talked extensively about them. They've looked over it several times.
And so can you forward me a memo or something they've produced?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Andres.
Thank you.
Item number 17 is a special budget ordinance for a home ARP grant with Heather Page.
Good afternoon. You've actually seen this special budget ordinance back in October of last year, and it was passed. But because of the delay in getting the contracts out, the budget got pulled back, and so we're requesting it a second time now that we have contracts that are ready to go forward. And so it's for the home ARP money that was approved, that resolution was approved at the last council meeting, and this is just to fund those contracts. Do you have any questions about it? Again, I know you saw it last fall, but.
Any questions?
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much. The last item before our reports is an ordinance for Spokane Falls Boulevard special events and street closure. So this is one that I'm bringing forward. This came up about a year ago for Tacos and Tequila on Spokane Falls Boulevard, where they had some exorbitant costs, around $12,000 to $15,000 for the street closure of Spokane Falls Boulevard. And at that time, we had discussed with the administration about how do we make these cheaper and easier for events, especially those programmed through the library, which Tacos and Tequila is. When that plaza, the Way of Truth's plaza, was built, the design was intended to have frequent closures and frequent use of that plaza and that space. Former council president Beggs at that time had talked about bringing forward an ordinance that would promote using that space more, and we had been talking to the library about that before too, and they said, oh, we don't need an ordinance, we can just work on programming this. But it came up again this year as a potential barrier for events. The library has been told that it's about $6,000 for an event closure. Tacos and Tequila had a problem too. So that is perfect timing there. Garrett, you come on down. I was letting him know that we just got to this item. So I brought this up to the administration early last week probably about the barriers that Tacos and Tequila was having again with this closure. And was looking for what can we do not just for this event but long term, because it just didn't become a top priority to figure out how can we keep this street an easy closure and easy programming for event spaces. So Gary, if you could talk to kind of what you all have been working on in that time, because I think you guys problem solved for this event and have ideas for long term.
Yeah, perfect. And I would just say too, it's after discussions with Hoop Fest and other major events with the mayor, of a priority of just looking at how do we streamline and look at efficiencies, cost savings, working with our neighborhoods, working with our neighbors that are impacted by street closures for all special events that involve street closures moving forward. So we're going to convene either a smaller group of the cabinet as well to start brainstorming. But talking around Tacos and Tequila is really trying to find long-term solutions that help with those efficiencies that decrease operational costs. So working with SPD and our event team, one of the opportunities is the types of barriers that we use. There's two types that are the more permanent barriers. They're ones that you see that are plastic that you fill up with water. And then there's the other ones that Hoop Fest uses, and we own a few, but also rent quite a few, is the ones if you hit, they dig into the asphalt and then stop any oncoming traffic. So with that, there's an opportunity, I think, in the future to increase that inventory that the city owns to be able to accommodate for all special events, because those are the type of barriers where we don't really necessarily need some of the personnel around there. The other two, the details around Tacos and Tequila, there's two pieces. Last year when we had post closed, we had traffic on Spokane Falls Boulevard and traffic coming out of the parking garage at one location. Now this year we have post that is open that we could provide as a detour, so we don't have two conflicting traffics from Spokane Falls Boulevard and the traffic coming off of the parking garage. Because what we saw last year, the traffic backed up so much in the parking garage, I guess it triggered some of the fire alarms from exhaust, and so we had some issues there. To combat around some of those issues of getting out of the parking garage, one is just around signage. If you don't need to come all the way down Spokane Falls Boulevard and you're not going to the parking garage, you have post as an opportunity. You have other north-south streets to get you continue to west if you're heading westbound. The other is around the signal timing. So this is one piece that Marlene is looking at. Unfortunately, we haven't had success in filling our signal engineer. So those do all the timing and not necessarily the maintenance, but do all the programming around the signals across the city. But Marlene is looking at if we're able to switch the timing around the signals at Main and Lincoln, and then it's a domino effect. There's about 7 other signals that we need to program. Then SPD says they wouldn't require any type of traffic control from SPD. Now there is requirements around safety, having to install the barrier piece. And if we weren't able to do the signals, but we still have the more permanent barriers, we would only need 2 police officers for a shorter period of time rather than the 4. But Marlene's looking into the signaling. So we're trying to think long-term, how do we kind of package this? So if you're closing off this block, or here's what it would require, here's what it would look like from a signal and barrier standpoint. I know Hoop Fest reached out earlier in the year as well, of just the cost of renting these barriers, if there's any opportunities from when we look at the LTAC or anything around special events in the future to increase our inventory so we have those available for us. Any questions on that?
Council
I'll just say
President.
that light at Lincoln and Main, you can only get one car through there at a time.
So it already needs a little bit of programming.
It already needs challenges that in the afternoon, just taking that turn and going there, you could sit there through 3 lights before you can make that turn because it's so short.
Yeah. And I think too, so Marlene's, so even though we don't have that engineer on board, I believe we have a consultant that works with the street department. So Marlene's reaching out to Clint to see, once we have it programmed, it's my understanding then our technicians can actually turn it off and on and can work through that. But it's actually the engineering around the programming piece.
Yeah, I haven't read the ordinance yet, so I don't know what all's in there, but how would this affect the cost aspects for groups that want to rent those spaces and have their events there?
I think what we're trying to do is just limit the operational cost. I mean, what we're seeing, as far as personnel, double time for special events. So more infrastructure around those more permanent barrier, traffic-rated barriers will help. And then, of course, in this case, the cost of signaling or the reprogramming of the signaling and taking away that personnel cost is huge. So originally from Tacos and Tequila was about $11,600 for the operational piece. Now that would take that away. So really then the expense would be just again, as a city, as a group, do we just internally take the cost on reprogramming signals? I think the expense in this one would just be the traffic control plan, signage, and then the actual installation of the barriers. But I think the more long-term, if we can invest in some of those capital investments around those barriers, that's going to help limit those costs in the future.
And then just one follow-up. You mentioned that there's two officers would be needed instead of 4. And I'm wondering, is that based on traffic control? Is that based on the volume of people? Is that based on the geographic area? What defines the number of officers that need to be there?
In this case, my understanding in talking with Assistant Chief McNabb, the 2-officer piece would be the traffic control.
Okay, so there'd be nobody there for safety aspects, is what you're saying?
Not to my knowledge,
specifically.
But I can clarify.
So is there a limit on the number of people that can be at an event in that space?
There is, but in this case, it's my understanding they have private security. So like some events, right, in the pavilion and others, you need a security officer for so many, like one representative for 50 people, or whatever that equation is.
Okay.
And then we do have a number of required officers, but I think this one is small enough that it was strictly just around the traffic control component of it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just comment, that plaza was designed to be activated. I know the DSP has wanted to activate that plaza ever since I've been on council for weekends, whatever that might look like, because it is a beautiful space. And if it's activated, I think that would help with some of the other issues that go on down there.
It is. I mean, we've seen some recent improvements, knock on wood. I mean, as far as what we've seen on Monroe Street Bridge and opening up under the Monroe Street Bridge, and some of the negative activity has decreased. But with that, too, has come a cost. We've had night security that actually do patrol that area on a nightly basis. But again, yeah, I think what we're trying to do, what is the most efficient for city staff, so it's a plug and play, rather than trying to recreate the wheel every single time, and then give us the tools and the inventory that we need. So lessens the cost for us, lessens the cost for the event organizations.
So this might be Monday morning quarterbacking, but in some communities, when they have areas that they plan to close off frequently, they have infrastructure in the ground, and then you just bring out the poles and install them with pins and locks, and it blocks off the area. Do we have some kind of barrier to doing that, or?
Again, my understanding is just the temporary solution right now. In some cases, you'll see where you do have like removable bollards, or actually contract into the ground that are rated for a high impact traffic situation. And so that's what we're trying to limit right now. So basically, in the proposed plan that Assistant Chief sent me is at Post, we would have traffic rated barriers. So if you made it all the way down to Post, you would have to go northbound on Post across the bridge and then to Summit and then down Monroe. And then another set of barriers off of Lincoln where the actual event would be. But we don't have any type of permanent, I mean, that's something we could look at in the future. I know we looked at it too in Riverfront Park as well. They are costly, but when we look at the event, I think if we have the infrastructure, the capital to have it, we have trailers to be able to accommodate taking it down and setting it up and deconstructing it. I think that's the best solution citywide to continue to build that inventory.
And thank you, Garrett, for this, and working very quickly over a holiday week for that. Really appreciate it. And I know for that longer-term solution, looking at either the tourism and cultural investment dollars, or even traffic calming dollars, kind of a direction from council if that's of interest. I think hearing from event organizers, they spend thousands of dollars on renting these barricades. That could be a cost savings to them if we have a set that they can essentially check out from the city. That would save a lot of our event organizers thousands of dollars and potentially create more events in the city and make it a more welcoming place.
And it helps us too with our cost recovery of what the goals that we're trying to achieve too. And I think too the bigger picture of what the mayor and I discussed as well as we continue on to activate downtown, we continue to have more residents downtown, living downtown, of just working as a group of how do we try to accommodate the best we can when we're closing streets and access. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And that brings us to our reports. I don't know if Jacoby has the list of report that's not in the agenda packet. All right. Or if any of you have memorized all of our committee assignments from this, that I would be impressed. Oh, right, perfect. Well, while we're doing that, we have staff updates too. So Nicolette, you can start us off with the staff update.
Okay, so let's take the first one. Housing Action Subcommittee. The last meeting was canceled because we're at AWC. But the next meeting, they'll be talking about fair housing and more. The Housing Initiative Manager update. Jacoby, I do have a slideshow if you want to pull that up. I wanted to start, though, by thanking the CHHS Director, Ariel Anderson. She reached out to Mark Carlos and I and wanted to say, hey, if legislative assistants ever have any questions, feel free to come talk to us. And we were able to set up a meeting with some staff and legislative assistants with Ariel, and it was really a wonderful way to build those relationships and to go over some main questions that people might have on what their work is. That was great. And another big win and an increase in communication and collaboration with the administration was Jacoby, Chris, and I met with some admin staff on brainstorming how we can improve the RFP process. And that went really well, and I'm really hopeful for how those conversations will go in the future. And on the study session on the 11th, you guys will be able to see a presentation from CHHS staff on their process, so we can ask questions at that time. All right, so a couple things that we did this month. This is the Understanding Poverty workshop that Family Promise puts on every year. You might recognize Jackson in the corner holding the transportation sign. And some of you who've been here for a while might remember this exercise that Joe does where he's got the string and he shows how a transportation problem can turn into a job problem, can turn into a housing problem, especially for people who are in generational poverty. Problems that are transportation problems that you and I might be able to solve very quickly in an afternoon without much frustration can turn another individual into somebody who's experiencing homelessness very easily if they don't have the resources to address those. So that was the Understanding Poverty workshop. Where's the clicker? And let's see if I can do this. Am I doing it wrong? It's not clicking. Uh-oh. Can we go back one? Oh, I'm pushing it. It's not doing anything. So when we were in AWC, I know that we might have an opportunity to do a larger presentation for all of us that went to AWC, but I did want to show you guys a couple of things. So these are the tiny homes in Vancouver. They call these the safe stay communities, and they have 4 of them. They have these pallet shelters, 20 of them on each site. Up to 40 people can stay here. The yellow tent over to the right is their kitchen tent. There's actually hooked up into it is a refrigerator that's hooked up. Behind that yellow tent, which you can't see in this photo, is that there's shower trailers. They have shower, laundry, food on site. You see those garden beds in the back. They do their own gardening. They have gardening classes and cooking classes, 24/7 security. They do have certain requirements for participation, which some of you might find interesting because they have to use their general fund dollars to pay for this because they do have certain barriers to participation, but they are very successful. And that was one of the walking tour pieces that we did while we were there. Abby was with me on that tour. And then, I still can't do it. Can you advance twice? And then the safe parking site was another site that we were able to visit. All the people who are in the picture are people who were on the tour, not people experiencing homelessness. There was a variety of different kinds of vehicles there, everything from RVs to literally just a dismantled vehicle, and everything in between. It was really interesting. I don't want to say too much, and I'm hoping that when we do get a chance to present, that Abby and I can do this together. This was a place where we really overlapped, and we had a great deal of discussion. We also were walking around with the Tacoma council member at the time. He's also the deputy mayor of Tacoma, and he had some interesting things to say about how their safe parking site in Vancouver was different from theirs in Tacoma. And so hopefully you can have a more robust discussion on that. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, the tiny home village, so it sounds like those individually are not up to code particularly. So are they just on a private lot and they're just kind of doing their own thing? I mean, how does that work?
It is on a privately owned lot, the one that we visited. Not all of them are. There are some that are on a city-owned land, but they are they're pretty nice. So I mean, they have heating, cooling, they have electricity.
Okay.
They're kept clean inside and outside.
But there's no kitchen, no bathroom?
There's no kitchen, but there's a kitchen in that big tent where there's a
Sure.
place for them to make food together. And I think part of that was to keep the insides of the pallet shelters clean and to try to keep all of the food in one location. I'd have to look at their code to see what they do or don't allow. It might be that they did, much like what we did with TRAC, where we did a variance on that specifically because we wanted that building to be able to use for those purposes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, and then the next one, Jacoby, if you can, my clicker, sorry. Okay, so another cool thing that I got to learn about was the Fife Jobs Program, and they've got this, now, let me put into perspective, Fife is 11,000 people, and they're located in a specific area where they don't really have to worry about NIMBYism as much, and so their program was wildly successful for them, but parts of it might work for us. What they call the three-pronged approach to success is a jobs program, housing and shelter, and basic food and hygiene being met. They started out by, much like we have the Dishman Hills, they have an area kind of like that, where people were beginning to camp, and they didn't know really what to do. So they ended up putting out these big dumpsters and telling the people there, hey, we will help you get a job and a place to live if you can just clean up this area that you're in right now. And so, can I do the next slide, Jacoby? So they started out with this kind of tent setup and then a dumpster outside, and people would move from their encampment within the wooded area. They would clean it up, and then they would move to a space under a tent that they could have as their own. And then next slide, it evolved into actual pallet shelters, much like the ones that were in Vancouver. They have a 44% success rate. And they have some really quirky things like a monthly potluck with city staff to build trust, which I thought was really interesting. And I'm going to send you guys the slide deck from that entire presentation and be able to go through that a little bit more when we do the AWC presentations in totality. And then next slide. This is their case management program. I thought was really interesting is they've got 3 days of work, 2 days of skill building, and they have a very regimented case management program as well as a calendar that everybody has to follow to give a certain sense of like, we know what to expect, we know what's expected of us, we know what's going to happen next week, to help them understand what it's like to have a little bit more of a strict schedule, and I just thought that was really interesting. Next slide. And then, so the next thing I was going to talk about is the consolidated plan update. This is also an area where I find there to be increased communication and collaboration with CHHS staff. Some of us were invited to a consolidated plan planning session, I guess, or stakeholder session, and we're able to get some sort of understanding of what they plan to do. And then in CHHS board meeting last week, they gave this timeline that you see above to really give us an idea of what this planning process is going to look like. I would encourage council members, I sent you guys an email on Wednesday with links to the consolidated plan and links to the community survey. If you could send that community survey out, that was a big ask that they made to us. And so please do that so that it's a really robust engagement with the community on that piece of it. And then I will be meeting with you guys or be sending you an email to try to meet with you guys to talk about what kinds of things you'd like to see in there and go over a summary of the former consolidated plan, any other questions you guys might have. And I do believe that they also intend to have a one-sheeter or a flyer with a QR code available, so you guys can also use that as a resource when you're talking to community members about that. And then next slide. Okay, so don't worry, you don't have to read this, But I just wanted to remind you, I sent out this timeline with the Regional Homeless Authority, and if you click on it, I don't know, Jacoby, if you can actually click on it, if it'll go to the link to the timeline. But when you go to, or maybe not. So when you guys use the timeline, most of the headings will go to each of the things that they say. So Housing and Help goes to the Housing and Help website, the Houston model. Well, it does on the PDF that I sent out, maybe not the slide. And then the resolution that you guys sent, and all of these various things. Feel free to send this out to anybody who wants to go down a rabbit hole. We just got an email today about somebody asking about the Regional Homeless Authority conversation and what it looked like, and there was some misinformation. And so I told Mark, just send this out, and they can go answer all their questions. If they have any other ones, more than happy to talk about it. So those are a couple of things I've been working on. Does anybody have any questions in particular, or I feel like there's something I must have missed, but I didn't even look at my page?
All right, thanks
No?
for that update,
Okay.
Nicola.
Thank you.
And Mr. Wright, that's an example of an update for you for the future.
Thank you. Good to know.
All right, next on our list. Jacoby, if you could put it back
It would
up there.
be neighborhood council work groups,
All right, neighborhood council work groups.
and that's Michael, Paul, and Kitty.
One of the council members want to talk about our work in that group? I'm happy to kick it off if you want.
We met last week. Jacoby ran the meeting and had the agenda, so maybe be better coming from you.
Yeah, great. So this is an effort to be more collaborative with the community assembly and get them together on some persistent issues that we've been having in our interactions with them over the last couple of years and find some solutions. They provided me a batch of resolutions and letters that we're going to try running through a new proposed process wherein they end up on a committee agenda as kind of a consent agenda item and could be elevated depending on if council members want to have specific discussion on it. And then the council president or council members will assign a city council staff member to those, to each resolution or request, and our job will be to respond back in a timely manner. At the front end of that, I'm going to be more diligent at responding right away, saying we're in receipt and here's your timeline for how this is going to move forward. So that's kind of the big thing that we've been hammering out together, and you'll likely see some resolutions in the consent agenda of the PIES committee meeting coming up. And that's kind of the main topic that we discussed this last meeting.
Has there been any discussion about how to get increased engagement at neighborhood councils in general? So kind of how can we help support them on increasing their engagement, or has it just been focused more on communication with council?
It's been focused more on us.
Yeah, Jacoby and I talked about maybe adding that to the next agenda along with decorum issues and kind of governing issues.
Great.
The next is the Plan Commission.
Plan
and
Commission.
The Plan Commission Transportation Subcommittee.
And the plan.
Plan Commission Transportation Subcommittee is no longer going to exist. It's going to be part of the Transportation Commission. I don't really have anything to report about that. And then I've started asking the Plan Commission what their process that they want to have to report to council, because right now I feel like we're just getting kind of a synopsis from me instead of what they want to say and how we deal with their formal decisions. So kind of waiting to hear back from them on that. But most of our meetings the last month have been pro forma.
All right, next CHHS board.
Yeah, we had a update around the HHOS funding, RFP for the Navigation Center. We discussed the point in time count, and I presented a little bit more about there's questions around the council spending of ARPA funds at our June town hall vote.
Community Assembly?
Community Assembly. We are meeting monthly as designed, but what's been fascinating, the attendance at Community Assembly has increased along with decorum and participation. I think they are very happy that they have a consistent representative. That would be me, to go there and to advocate for their needs. So that is going well. They still have some concerns which the subgroup is working through. So I'll be just I am the conduit for their concerns.
And we greatly appreciate you for taking that assignment. Human Rights Commission.
Well, we presented our ordinance that's hopefully ready to be voted on. And there was a meeting last week. There was just a presentation. Yeah, not much.
The public partnership, I don't think has yet to meet. I think that's a good reminder for us to get that going. Downtown Spokane Bid Board and Downtown Spokane Partnership.
I'll do partnership. So there was a joint meeting of the bid board and the partnership. I was not able to be there. I don't know if Councilmember Bingle was or not. He might be able to mention some things from that meeting. But just the emphasis at the last policy meeting was 6175, trying to get that implemented as soon as is humanly possible. They have a number of members who are wanting to pursue that, but they're not willing to move until that's firmly in place. And then they're also very concerned, and there was a lot of conversation around the Clean Building Act, what possible remedies there might be for the substantial cost implications from that, that folks are still just barely scratching the surface trying to wrap their heads around. And then lastly, let's see, they have they've renewed their DSP facade grant program up to $5,000 for property owners to improve building facades. That will be 100% reimbursed, which is also a partnership with BECU. So those are a couple of highlights I've got for you.
Councilmember Bingle, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, so Councilmember Cathcart covered a lot. I was at the annual meeting. The mayor was there and presented on some things. Outside of everything Councilmember Cathcart just said, the big emphasis continues to be please enforce Prop 1. So,
all right. The GMA Steering Committee of Elected Officials.
We have a whole lot of meetings coming up soon. We're having a subcommittee at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow to talk about the bylaws because we're adding tribal representation. And then we have another meeting coming up about option C for how to allocate housing. The Department of Commerce gave us an option for the big comp plan updates and the urban growth area decisions to how to address different income bands. So we need to be able to analyze where can we accommodate affordable housing and different other housing types across income bands. And the group chose neither of the two options that Commerce made available. And so option C is kind of making up your own math. So staff will be coming up with proposals and we'll be working on that. Do you have anything to add, Paul?
No. Yeah. I think my subcommittee meeting is this Wednesday, and then we'll have our full committee meeting on the 17th.
Launch Northwest. I don't know if Councilmember Cathcart or Navarrete. I think they just did their RFP for their spending of all the ARPA money and are coming back with that is the last that I remember. Library Board.
I missed the last library board meeting.
Park Board, Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, I don't remember anything significant from our last meeting there. Just updates on, how golf is going. We got a financial update from, Rich Lentz. And so, obviously the levy continues to be a topic of discussion for us. And so just sort of following the city's lead in some of that.
All right, thank you. And then Council President wanted to go back
Yes,
to the
I'm not really in the public
partnership.
partnership, but I actually had a meeting with Adam Swinier from the school district, and we were talking about course education. Between the two of us, we were looking at a convening of the city and parks and the library to talk about what that looks like, especially around education, since they're not running their levy, their bond again, and how that impacts education. So there is movement going on there. Hopefully that convening will be sometime in August, and then I'll have more information then.
That'd be great. And I'm sure a lot of people saw the article in the paper this weekend about lower attendance rates in Spokane schools. So just want to highlight that for an issue in our community. Priority Spokane,
I don't believe we met last one.
the Regional Homeless Authority, or discussions.
Presentation, remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
besides Commissioner Waldriff's presentation, I think you guys are just getting ready for another meeting, right?
Yeah, and we had I know Councilmember Bingle, I don't think you could make it. I had an additional follow-up with Commissioner Kearns and Commissioner Waldriff, and it really does feel like there's some renewed momentum for getting this moving.
Spokane Arts?
Don't need too big changes. Go check out the new amazing art project in front of the Scoop on 25th Avenue by Chris Bovey. And Jeremy Whittington was recently hired on as the new Spokane Arts program manager.
Jacoby. Oh, that was it? All right.
Was that turkeys in front of the Scoop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very emblematic of our favorite friend on the South Hill.
All right, that concludes today's Urban Experience Committee meeting. We will be back next month. Thanks.